Hey there! I had a few folks interested in hearing more about our trip down the coast recently, and I thought I would make a short video and just give you some of the highlights. So we left on a Friday, leaving north of Seattle on a Friday. We learned that 9:30 was a great time to leave, at least it was that Friday. We decided that we wanted to capture as much of Highway 101 as possible, so we followed I-5 south to Highway 8 and got off at Montesano and headed towards Raymond, and took 101 south from there all the way down to Seaside. No stops, just good conversation and music. We ended up spending 3 nights in Seaside and 2 full days. So we spent 1 day exploring Seaside and another day exploring Cannon Beach and Ecola State Park, so we could get our picture with Haystack Rock, just like the Goonies. From there, we followed Highway 101 and its winding, wonderful rocky path, and sometimes a little scary, towing a 28-foot trailer down to Florence, Oregon, where we stayed for several days and got to connect with family who primarily lives in Oregon, or at least they all grew up there. And we hung out in Florence at the lake. We enjoyed wine and meals and games and visiting. Checked out Old Town. It was really cute. And from there we headed up to Newport, where we had plans to check out the aquarium, but we were a little tired and called it an early night so we could get up for the next day, which was just this past Saturday. And that day we headed up, still up 101, and then went west on Oregon 18, headed toward McMinnville, with plans to stop at McMenamins to enjoy some beer tasting, but instead stopped at the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum, which Matt thought was Disneyland for big kids. They have the Spruce Goose and a lot of really cool airplanes and things there. So we ended up spending just about 2 hours, maybe a little over, before I had to pull him out and say, okay, let's hit the road again. We've got a few more hours of driving up towards Mount St. Helens. Somewhere in all of my pre-travel research, I missed the fact that that was right in the middle of wine country, and I didn't factor in time for tasting, so definitely have to go back. We headed up alongside I-5, but really avoided I-5 through the Portland area because, you know, it's just the pits through there. It's always terrible. So we went up, crossed the bridge into Washington, there by Longview, and headed out to Sequest State Park near Mount St. Helens, where we set up camp and had a fire, enjoyed our neighbors, and the next morning got up and went on an adventure to find and explore the ape caves on the south part of Mount St. Helens, which was so cool and such a blast. And that really wrapped up our last day. We had a fabulous dinner that night, and the next morning woke up, packed things up, and headed towards home. So that's kind of a really quick summary of our trip. I am writing a blog that's going to give you more information, and then we'll share additional reviews over the next couple of days. It's just a lot of information to try to pack into one video. So I hope that the highlights were exciting. We really had a blast. The Oregon coast is beautiful. We definitely, the one thing we took from this, besides recharging our batteries, was finding that we definitely want to go back to all of those places and spend more time exploring. We love Washington, but the Oregon coast is really something different, and it's gorgeous. So if you haven't been there, I would recommend that you go. I think it's a great trip for anybody, couples, friends, families. I think there's something for everyone. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, stay tuned for my vlog. Thanks.